Today's discussion is all about the spud. Yes, the potato. Yes, I already know. You heard lots of bad things about the potato, didn't you? You heard that the potato was fattening, it had too many calories and too many carbohydrates. But guess what? On the contrary, I'm going to show you today, we're going to talk a bit about the nutritional content of potato. Potato really has a lot of good for you things in it, such as good sources of vitamin C. It provides for you excellent potassium, fiber, good taste. You can use it in a variety of ways. And so I'm going to ask you today to come cook with us as we cook the spud. Come along. There are just many ways you can prepare the potato. You can mash them, you can boil them, you can fry them, you can bake them, you can microwave them. There are just several ways you can prepare the potato because it is so versatile. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to microwave a potato. We're going to do a potato patty, and we're also going to do an oven fry. So we invite you to come on in here with us and enjoy us as we cook the potato. There are just many varieties of potatoes, and when you go to the store, it's very easily become overwhelmed and don't know what to choose. But when it comes down to it, there's basically two categories. One is a bacon potato, and a good example of a bacon potato, and this is kind of an all-purpose one, is of course the russet potato. And then the other category that potatoes will fall into is a boiling potato. And the boiling potato, and a good example of that would be the Yukon. And there are plenty of them that are out there just to serve that purpose. But one thing about it, there are no hard and set rules concerning the potato. You can really take any of these potatoes and turn it into mash. But then the russet potato is going to give you more fluffiness than some of the others. But it's entirely up to you. Now, just to tell you a little bit about how you would select this potato. When you select a potato, you do not want to buy a potato that have cuts on it or have bruises or black spots. Neither do you want to buy a potato that have the eyes that are sprouting. I'm trying to give you a good example. Like that eye. If that eye is sprouting, it's not a good idea to buy that potato. Don't buy potatoes that have kind of a greenish or a bluish tinge to it, because that means that potato has really been exposed to the sunlight. And then not only is it going to have an off flavor and turn dark when you cook it, but you're also going to find that sometimes that dark greenish tint could be very toxic to some people too. So it's important to keep those points in mind. Now the new potato, the skin is so very tender that there is not any need to even take the skin off. Studies shows two things about the potato. It's full of good things for you, skin and all. Some would say take the skin off because of all the pesticides that sprayed onto the potato. But I say wash this potato very well. Use a scrub. Take the eyes off would be appropriate. So be aware of all of the potatoes that are out there on the market. Go ahead and have a good time as you're shopping. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get the oven fries in the oven. Let me show you what we're doing today. We have already have the potatoes already cut up in strips or in chunks. We thought we'd make it look more like French fries, so we already have them already. They have been soaking here in the water for about an hour, and the purpose for soaking it in the water for an hour is it's going to take a little bit of the starch out. And when you take the starch out, you're going to make that fry a little bit more crispy. That's the whole purpose of that. The other things that we're going to do with this recipe, I have a recipe that I'm actually following today, and it calls for canola oil that we're going to kind of dribble over the fryer. We also have Mrs. Dash, which is just a blend of herbs and spices that is low in sodium, but it's going to give it a nice flavor. That's what the recipe calls for. But we're going to play around with the recipe a little bit, as you sometimes will do too. We might add a little garlic to it, and we might add a little parsley to it, and then we're going to put it in the oven. And guess what? I would suggest you do this too sometimes, because that's a good way to lower the fat and cholesterol and calories in your diet. If you love French fries, you'll love the oven fries. You'll get an opportunity to see it in a little bit. All right, what I'm actually doing right now is I have already tossed these potatoes in the canola oil. I added some Mrs. Dash and some of the other spices, and now all I'm doing is layering it on the baking sheet and into the oven it's going to go. Potatoes are even good as a leftover. Look at, all I did is haul these out of the refrigerator. We got leftover mashed potatoes, and we're going to turn them into wonderful warm potato patties by just simply adding an egg, some onion, a little flour, and we'll use canola oil when we cook them. That's a simple, real easy way to make use of leftovers. What I have now is I just have the leftover mashed potatoes. I added 1 egg, and if you wanted to, you could have 2 egg whites and lower the cholesterol, and 1/4 cup of onions. And all I'm doing now is just nicely mixing this together, and I'm going to make it into a patty and then dip it into the flour and then into the skillet. Now we have the potato mix, and we added a little flour to it until we got the right consistency. The grease, we have a little canola oil in the pan, and we have that hot already. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cook them up. We're going to cook these for about 5 minutes. Now we just finished the potato patty. Took all of 5 minutes on the stove, off onto the plate. Wonderful taste. Now we're going to do a microwave potato. Okay, so here's now this baked potato. It took 5 minutes in the microwave. Now we're going to do is cut it open, and you got a potato that's ready to be stuffed. Guess what? You can stuff it with some good stuff, or you can stuff it with some things that's not so good for you. Think about the butter and the sour cream and the cheese and the other things that you might add to this baked potato that would make it a very high calorie thing. But if you take this baked potato, maybe just put some salsa. You might even stuff it with broccoli. You might even stuff it with chili. And you can make it a complete meal. So it's a lot of things you can do with this baked potato. So actually, as the baked potato has gotten this bad press over the years, the baked potato in itself is low calorie, low fat, low cholesterol. It's the toppings that we put on it that we want to watch and be careful about. So enjoy your baked potato. You can put it in the oven, which takes longer. In the microwave, it took every bit 8 minutes. The final point that I want to make today concerning the potato is, remember, the potato is a good for you food. It is not a bad for you food, but some things you might want to remember is that you don't want to put high-fat things on it, like the butter and the cream cheese and the sour cream and the cheese and etc. So you want to cook them in a low-fat way too. Try baking them, roasting them, microwaving them, steaming them, rather than having the deep fat fried. So you want to remember all those things. Remember, potatoes are good for you food. It is full of nutrients. Several ways you can cook them. You can have them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so what I would encourage you to do is enjoy the potatoes.